Now, just because someone feels close to you doesn't mean they're entitled to all of your energy. And I think a lot of us were never taught that distinction. Today, in this episode, I want to talk about giving that access to people or not giving it. This isn't about having better boundaries, but understanding who has what access to your energy, your emotions, your presence. I'm Suzanne Arjona, and this is Life on Your Terms, where human design meets bold truth and permission to be real. You've played the role, you did what was expected, and now it's time to show up as you. So, a lot of women I talk to are exhausted, but it's not because they're doing too much. They're exhausted because too many people have too much access to their energy. They have access to their emotional space, their attention, their nervous system, their mental problem-solving energy. And this access isn't always given away consciously. It just happens, especially if you're someone who's warm, intuitive, or just easy to talk to. Now, in my human design chart, I have gate 59 defined. I actually have the full 59-6 channel defined, which means that connection tends to happen pretty naturally for me. People often feel close and connect with me pretty quickly. Traditionally, gate 59 is described as penetration, dissolving barriers and creating intimacy. What I've learned is that when barriers dissolve, access goes both ways. The space between you and someone else gets thinner. And if you're not conscious of it, that closeness can start to feel automatic. People I've just met have confided in me and shared details of their lives without really knowing me. They just seem to feel a safe connection. And for a long time, I confused that closeness with responsibility. If someone opened up to me, I felt responsible for holding their emotions and for matching that level of openness with my own. Now, what I've learned is that I don't have to match someone else's level of openness, and I'm not responsible for holding everyone's energy if it isn't right for me. Now, sometimes that connection is right. I've met some of my dearest friends and closest colleagues and knew almost instantly that we were meant to be friends or work together or collaborate. My best friend from childhood, who, we're still close after 50 years, we met in the first grade. I dropped my pencil on the floor. She picked it up and handed it back to me and said, "Do you want to be friends?" And that was it. We've been friends ever since. Now, we all experience this access to other people's energy differently, but every design has a place where people might overstep, especially if you're emotionally defined and not aware that it's happening. So if you have sacral authority, for example, your body already knows who gets access. If you feel expansion around someone, that's a yes. If you feel contraction or tightness, that's a no. And if your body pulls back, but you still say, "Sure, come on in," that's often where resentment starts. Now, if you're emotionally defined, this is even trickier because emotional openness is not the same as emotional availability. You don't owe people access to you while you're still processing or riding your emotional wave. You don't owe immediate responses just because someone else is uncomfortable with waiting. We're raised to be polite, to smile and reciprocate when someone offers friendship or a relationship of some sort. But if something feels off, even just a little, that's enough. You don't owe an explanation. However your clarity works, there will be a moment when something doesn't feel right, and that's enough. This doesn't mean you need to be rude about it, But you don't have to participate in a connection if it doesn't fit for you or if it's just not the right time. Now, the big shift for me came when I realized that just because someone feels connected to me or opens up quickly, that doesn't automatically make me responsible for holding what they have to share. I can care, I can have compassion, and still not be the person who has to fix it or remain available for it. I can excuse myself from the conversation or simply be present without opening up about my life. A lot of us, especially women, were taught that closeness automatically means we're supposed to carry it, to fix it, or to reciprocate it. That if someone opens up, we hold that space. If someone reaches out, we respond. And if someone feels close, we match that closeness. And most of us never realized that we had another option. So if you're listening to this today and thinking, okay, but what do I actually do with this? Here's where I'd start. This week, just notice the moment before you respond to someone. When someone asks for your time, your energy, or your emotional space, what does your body do before your mouth answers? Does it lean in or does it pull back? And if it pulls back, see what happens if you give yourself a moment longer than usual to respond. You don't have to explain. You don't even have to decide right away. Sometimes the most regulating thing you can say is, "Let me get back to you." If you're someone people tend to open up to, if connection happens easily for you, you've probably felt that moment where someone feels close and you feel yourself quietly pulling back. Not because you don't care, but because something in you knows this is more than I can hold right now. That doesn't make you uncaring or selfish. It just means you get to choose when you're available and when you're not. You get to notice when a door needs to close a little sooner than it used to. You get to trust that knowing. And whether you have gate 59 defined like I do, or you're just someone people naturally open up to, this might feel familiar. Connection can happen very quickly. Access doesn't have to. And if no one ever gave you permission to do that before, consider this your permission. You don't owe everyone full access to you. So if you're listening to this and thinking, okay, I need to understand how this works for me, that's exactly what a human design reading is for. Not just in a surface level way, not just, your type and profile and a few keywords. We look at how connection actually works in your chart, how your authority makes decisions, where you're designed to be open and where you're not. Because when you can see that clearly, it gets a lot easier to stop overriding yourself and a lot easier to stop giving access where it doesn't belong. Now, if you're ready to look at your own design through that lens, you can book a reading with me. I'll drop a link for you in the show notes, and we'll sit down and walk through it together.